I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 10, and let's focus on verses 1 through 4. Sometime later, the king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hunan became king in his place. And then David said, "I'll show kindness to Hunan, the son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me." So David sent his emissaries to console Hunan concerning his father. However, when they arrived in the land of the Ammonites, the Ammonite leaders said to Hunan, their lord, "Just because David has sent men with condolences for you, do you really believe he's showing respect for your father? Instead, hasn't David sent the emissaries in order to scout out the city, to spy on it and overthrow it?" So Hunan took David's emissaries, shaved off half of their beards, cut their clothes in half at the buttocks, and sent them away. 2 Samuel 10 functions as a prophetic lesson. As Hunan and Hadadezer's Aramean allies stir themselves up against David, so the kings and the rulers of the world are still bent on resisting the rule of the Lord and his messianic king, Jesus. Consider this from Psalm chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. "Why do the nations rebel and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers conspire together against the Lord and his anointed one. Let us tear off their chains and free ourselves from their restraints." It is far easier to see the fulfillment of Psalm chapter 2 when we eavesdrop on the prayer of the church in Jerusalem in Acts chapter 4, especially when we hear those early believers applying the Psalm chapter 2 prayer to Herod and to Pontius Pilate. Acts 4, verses 24 through 30. "When they heard this, they raised their voices to God unanimously and said, 'Master, you are the one who made heaven and the earth and the sea and everything in them. And you said through your Holy Spirit by the mouth of their father David, your servant, why did the Gentiles rage and their people plot futile things? The kings of the earth took their stands, and the rulers assembled together against the Lord and against his Messiah. For in fact, in this city, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles and the people of Israel, assembled together against your holy servant Jesus, whom you anointed, to do whatever your hand and your plan had predestined to take place. And now, Lord, consider their threats, and grant that your slaves may speak your message with complete boldness while you stretch out your hand for healing, signs, and wonders to be performed through the name of your holy servant, Jesus." In today's passage, David is the Lord's chosen king with Hunan and Hadadezer against him. Whomever conspires against the Lord's anointed will always lose. 2 Samuel 10 is a simply miniature Psalm chapter 2. And it proclaims, in spite of all the resistance and hostility, the Davidic king will rule. If we don't have that assurance, how could we co-heirs with the one that Matthew chapter 1 calls the Son of David? How could we live in the hope of eternal security? How else could we endure persecution for proclaiming the gospel of Jesus? In light of the assured fulfillment of Psalm 2 and the prophecy therein, let's reaffirm our commitment to stand firm in the Lord. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And if you're being ministered to through the Bible teaching of Groundworks Ministries, and you would like to help us reach more people with the gospel, would you consider donating to Groundworks Ministries today? Donating is secure and it's easy at our website. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.